Are you stuck in that corporate career and you're just thinking, I need to uncage myself to the shackles of my life? Today, I've got Nils Welham today, and he is a coach with Uncaged Existence. That's right, isn't it?
That is right. Yes, yes, indeed.
Welcome to the channel today, Nils. And I'm curious, this uncaged existence about transforming yourself from a person that's stuck and unhappy without purpose to a person that is literally bouncing off the floor when they wake up in the morning.
Mm.
Why do you do what you do, Nils?
That's a good question. Um, because, so I mean, maybe first of all, so obviously you highlighted it, and I help aspiring founders kind of take that leap from corporate to entrepreneurship. And the reason why I enjoy doing that so much is it's like when you see someone who has this little spark in their eyes, this little spark of an idea, of possibility of, oh my God, can I maybe create a life of my dreams? Can I do this kind of business venture? And when you kind of see that spark, or I would say even sometimes the seed of a flower grow, like people get more confident and people kind of take action. Well, yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I love that feeling of helping people. And also I know how difficult it is. I've been there, done that. I was in corporate. I had a successful career. I traveled all over the world, earned a good salary. It's difficult to kind of make big transitions in your life.
Well, we'll go to that in a little bit, but the context today I really want to go deep on
Mm,
is how we use the spoken word to create change. And you and I obviously coach people, and the mechanic of our vocal expression, vocal communication,
mm,
is fundamental to that. But how many times did you speak to yourself when you
mm,
were in that corporate career? Just talk about the pathway that you took. Mean, obviously I've listened to your backstory, but just give us a
mm,
few little timeline breaks of
mm.
your school, university, and then what happened after that. And within that, when did this voice start speaking to you to say you're restless, Niels?
So, so obviously, yeah, I went to university, got good grades, went into corporate, and I kind of landed in financial services, right? That wasn't a bad gig, to be honest. It was back in 2013. Got the opportunity to move to London, got the opportunity to travel all over the world. It was good. It was good. It was interesting. I would say that within that, maybe not the beginning, but quite early, I was kind of thinking, surely there must be more. There must be more to life, right? And that also led to the opportunity in London, right? Because I kind of was bored in my previous role. I was like, I need to do something. So I contacted someone randomly, said, next time you're in Belgium, let's have a chat. And that led to a new opportunity, right? And that was back in 2015. Went to London, went into consulting, and my entrepreneurial journey, which is important, probably started back in 2017. So I started experimenting with, what can I do? So I've created a website about chihuahuas with some friends, which is still live. I sold phone accessories as pop sockets that you put on your for the Euros 2018. So I went with my backpack. I sold them online, but also went with my backpack to pubs, kind of Del Boy style. And I created a bicycle safety accessory brand in 19, which is still live. So that's, I would say, when it really started the entrepreneurial kind of part of me. And I would also say they gave me the inspiration to think, okay, maybe that vision of life is possible. So 2020, some bad times personally. And then I kind of sat down. I was like, well, I need to do something because I wasn't happy. Monday blues was kind of weekly blues. And then I somehow landed on coaching because I did a lot of work around my values, what I enjoy. I quit my corporate job, started a coaching school essentially to retrain. at the end of 2020, and then went back to corporate part-time as I was building the business because, well, London is quite expensive. And then my freedom day, as I call it, when I went full-time coach, was the end of 2021, so 31st of December.
Well, anybody will know the timelines that was also middle of COVID and all that aspect. I just want to go back to Chihuahuas. Did I hear that right? Something to do with Chihuahuas. Tell me more about that.
So that was it was very simple. So, I have a group of friends in Belgium, and we've always kind of been brainstorming a lot of what can we create, how can we, get out of this corporate world. And so we figured, what do people spend money on? So a lot of people spend a lot of money on pets. And then we kind of went down the rabbit hole and was like, okay, cool. So Chihuahuas, I mean, the general profile of Chihuahuas are people that are affluent, I would say. So we just went for it. And basically it's still online, by the way, it's planetchihuahua.com. And we went full on, like, writing big histories, how you take care of them, did a lot of research, to be fair. But the challenge with that was it's really difficult to keep on writing about something that you're not really passionate about. So, I mean, writing Christmas outfits for Chihuahua articles was quite funny, but it's not sustainable. So, you know, that was our first big kind of real try, and that kind of then evolved into the bicycle safety accessory. Kind of, we took our learning and said, okay, this is something we actually like. Let's work on that.
I wonder if Instagram and TikTok would have been alive in 2017, whether that path would have been different for you. Because the life of Chihuahua and Instagram and TikTok, it probably would have a really good evolutionary entrepreneurial journey of you holding your Chihuahua with the Christmas reindeer socks on, etc., etc.
Exactly. Who knows? You never say never. We might instigate it, let's say.
Okay. Now, I'm very curious about this speaking thing, and you don't just jump from a really secure corporate job. Did you feel you followed that path because it was programmed, societal norm pressure, maybe family, this is what Nils should be doing? Was that the mountain that you were almost sherped up?
Yeah, 100% right. And I think that's a challenge, right? We talk about speaking. It's really interesting because I also consider how you speak to yourself and what has been spoken to you, right, around what success looks like. So, due to society, upbringing, for us, it was really, yeah, success was going to college and getting a good job. My dad, part of the family, was definitely, working class, and he did a really, really good job, right, in terms of creating an amazing life for himself and for us. So that belief around success, I had success according to my old belief system. So that was really, really difficult. When I was experimenting with the different ventures, then when I wanted to go into coaching, because you've got this voice inside of you saying, but what are you doing? Like, why are you throwing success away?
And the
Who do
judgment
you
of
think you
also
are?
of others. Did others say, Niels, are you mad? You've got this great job. Your future is ahead of you. You could become senior partner. What on earth are you doing, dumping all of that for the sake of becoming a coach in a van?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yes, I mean, short answer is yeah. Of course, I had that. You could see kind of some frowns going up, and people thinking, but what is it exactly? Are you sure? Obviously, also it's mid-COVID, so it was a big risk. I think even my dad, he sent me some unemployment rates through after I quit. Not very helpful, dad.
Thanks, Dad.
I mean, obviously, I love him a lot, but that was probably not the most useful thing to send.
I'm sure he
So
did it
yeah,
out of pure and utter support and love, and a little bit of worry probably. But
of course, of course, of course, and I mean, understandably, right? Because what are you doing? The world is kind of literally up in the air. We don't know what left, right, and center. We're locked in every time, and you say you want to completely change your life and forego a secure life. So yeah, I had that a lot, and that was not always easy because how I see it when you have a budding idea, and don't be blind for feedback of others, but there is an art to, you know, shielding it from some of these, let's say, negative voices. It's like when you water a plant, you need to be careful at the beginning. You need to set its roots, right? So, so yeah, I had a lot, and I had to be really careful with whom I associated during that time.
And when you decided to coach, a lot of people have, they say that the riches are in the niches or the riches are in the niches, however you are listening to this in the world. You had this congruency about the fact that you gave up this corporate dream to become
Mm.
your own coach. Was that the calling you had to say, well, this is the path of my own journey, therefore I want to be congruent with coaching on that? Or did you
Mm.
try a few other nuances of what does coaching feel like to me in terms of what's going to fire my passion?
Yeah, good question, actually. So I have tried a few different things, and what is interesting as well, what I would say is, yes, there's this niche of, yeah, I help people take the leap, and I also help kind of early stage founders. When you remove all of the topics, at the end of the day, in my experience, it comes down to being yourself. So most of the topics, regardless of the overarching kind of context of that person, it's about being yourself. Like, who am I? How do I show up authentically and in a confident way? That's it. And obviously, from my perspective, it made sense. I really like working with entrepreneurs because they're more open to possibilities. I call them more yes and instead of no but people. So it's much, for me at least, it's a more fun engagement because there's interaction, there's elements where you can push people. So that's why I'm kind of drawn to that area. But I have tried quite a few different things, and there have been some big variety in topics. Like relationships come up a lot as well.
Okay, that's opening up a whole new thought process for me in terms of relationship. But on this aspect of serving entrepreneurs to find this uncaged potential,
Mm,
coaching is somewhere but sort of between therapy and trainer sometimes in terms of taking people from their past and heading them towards their future.
mm,
But equally, coaching sometimes you're reluctant to tell people what to do. But when
mm,
you're speaking to people
mm,
and you can just see that there's that spark in their eye that you talked about, how do you ask questions that enable them to see their potential without telling them what to do?
mm. So the first thing, because the majority of I guess where I focus is on those limiting beliefs, right? Those blocks. So when I coach, I think listening is the first. It's the key. It's the key. First of all, if your listening is not on point, then you can't ask any right questions. So one of my trainer once said this, and it really clicked for me. So when you listen to music, sometimes you hear something's off, like a note is off, even if you're not super trained or something. And it's the same with people. When I hear them speak, I'm trying to listen of what word is off, what's the energy behind that word, and that gives me clues. So then I can ask the right questions, right? And you're right in the sense of, especially if people are going through that same journey, they sometimes want you to say, hey, just tell me what to do. Just just tell me. And there's an art, I would say, to kind of giving advice in a coaching way, right? So regardless of the questions, you can kind of give options, right? Look, in my experience, what I've seen work, these are the things. What resonates most with you?
Where do you see the whole aspect of AI fitting into a coaching dynamic relationship? Are you
Mm,
hopeful? Are you pessimistic? Where do you see that blend?
I've thought about this a lot, actually. I'm very happy that I'm in this profession. I think AI is great. I think it can really help. But from a personal perspective, like I said, listening to the energy, listening to feeling the energy of the person as well, seeing the expression, there's a human connection that I think AI cannot, or at least at the moment, cannot replicate. What I have used now for one client, and he actually asked for that, it's really interesting that can we record so that AI can send me all of the notes and summarize what we do. I was like, yeah, why not? So there are elements I think you can use it in the business, but personally, I don't think it has a place yet in the one-on-one stuff.
Well, I'm in agreement with you. I definitely think you can't replicate the nuance and emotional connectivity that as humans we have as almost a sixth sense, but the ability to use it for other aspects of capturing notes, capturing the dialogue, or making sure that you've got models out there that you could point them to that would be more efficient. Going back to your client sort of acquisition client journey, I'm a very big supporter of how we speak, how we listen can create the ability to win a client. What's your
Mm,
process look like, Nils, in terms of, first of all, lead aggregation of getting people into the top of your funnel, and then
mm,
how do you process that to get the client to say, yes, I'm in, let's go?
mm. So a variety of ways, I would say. The first thing, I, I do a lot of networking, right? So I go to networks, I engage with people, I connect with people. That can kind of then link to workshops. So on a regular basis, I'll run a workshop where people get a feel of who I am. But then the crux of the matter is it's conversations. It literally is conversation is getting to know people and get really curious about them. I've met people on hikes, easy, and not unexpected, right? But you're just talking, chatting, getting curious and understanding where they are, and then it kind of evolves into a working relationship. So the core is conversations, and the two tenets that I have is workshops essentially and networking.
What about Freedom Friday? Anybody wants to find Nils on LinkedIn, you'll find him there. And he does, well, tell us about Freedom Friday. What is it and why do you do it?
That's a good point. I do some social media as well. So Freedom Friday is the day where I share essentially a nugget, an insight of my own journey. And the reason why I do that is, well, it increases credibility, but mainly it's educational. So in my experience, coaching is not always accessible to everyone. And that's a shame because I truly believe that everyone, literally everyone can benefit from it. Same therapy, I think everyone can benefit from therapy as well, 100%. And so it's kind of my way to share insights, share reflections that can help people on that journey that might not be able to afford a coach. So that's why I do it. And also, I actually quite enjoy it. So selfishly, it allows me to bring some of my insights deeper as well, because it's literally what's been playing in my world. So being able to process it, write something about it, and convey a message helps me. So it's like a win-win basically.
Could you unpack some of the methodology? A lot of people have this desire to be more present on LinkedIn, particularly go into a video format, but they have feelings of doubt or insecurity or anxiety or being judged, and therefore they almost become caged in their own
Mm.
inhibitions. Where did you think about the idea and just talk about how it goes from week to week, from the seed to then pouring the water on the seed to become this flower that is Freedom Friday?
Yeah. So the idea first came because I was following another coach, Michael Neal, who I love. He has something called morning rambles, and I just like his energy. He's just like so casual, shares what's coming up, and it really inspired me. And I share these things all the time with friends. So that was the inspiration, and I had a lot of thinking, trust me, what you were just saying, oh, what are people going to think? How am I going to come across? So there was a little bit of a hump to get over, but then I just like, I need to try it. At the time, not many people were doing video. I quite like how video can convey a message because again, it gives people an idea of your energy, your perspective, who you are. So I then just started doing it. Literally, I committed and said, look, I'm committing to this. It's going to happen. I made a choice. Obviously, there's a system behind it, all right? So I'm quite reflective. I journal. reflect on my week, and then that allows me to kind of say, okay, cool. Out of all these learnings that I have, what would be valuable to share? So I drill it down every single time. So I have this idea, I work on it a little bit, and then it's just being consistent, like actually being the person that commits to it. And that's just a choice. No matter how you twist it or turn it, yes, you can have a system, but it's you that chooses to commit to it.
And do you just record it on your phone and then splice it, edit it, and put it straight onto LinkedIn, or do anything else with it?
So I am very basic. I've been thinking of upgrading, but yes, it's just on my phone. It's like literally, I grab it, I put it somewhere where it's straight, or maybe on a walk. I record it. I usually don't re-record if I made a little cock up, let's say, because for me it's just part of the game, you know. I whack it on Canva, so I have a little intro which I kind of created. I download it, I post it. Simple as. There's probably benefit of repurposing some of the stuff or slicing it, you know, some little very short things, because sometimes my videos can be a bit longer, but I don't do that at the moment.
Well, I fully support it. I do something called the Ripple, and for
I
me,
love that, by the
actually,
way.
it's your Fridays are really, you're very consistent, and I think it's a reflection of the fact that if you're working with Niels, you're going to get consistency, system, and authenticity. And I really like the fact that you can just see it like one take, right, go, and it's not polished. And I don't. That's the thing I'm saying to people is that people wait for perfection. They wait to get the captions. They wait to get the editing. They wait to get the sound, the right setup, and actually, the moment that your video comes up, no disrespect to you, but it's forgotten in 30 minutes because it's just another piece of content that I've consumed in the day. But so many people just rest on their hands thinking, I can't, because, or what if, or somebody might say something. But I think your demonstration of the fact that it's just have a go. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, literally just have a go. So, I mean, you're a sports person, right? You like your games, Chris, and this is how I operate with these things, and I also do this with clients of mine. It's literally a game, right? If you make a game out of it, it remains fun. The the heaviness, gets removed, because let's be honest, right? Getting out of your comfort zone or out of the familiar, it can feel very difficult. So what I tend to do is I try to create games that allow me to show up in a different way. And then the outcome will be way better than you would ever imagined.
How do you remember the words as well? Because you obviously talk about the other week I was listening to you talk about people pleasing, and it wasn't just people pleasing. There was also some contextualization in there. There was some third party references. How do you bring that all to a one take hit on your iPhone?
Yeah. That's a
You're just
good
a very clever
question.
man, Niels.
Well, I don't know. You need to ask other people that. So because I go deeper, right, that helps. Because I've already journaled about something. I then tend to kind of put like a framework around, okay, what do I want to say? I've already written down then the copy that adds to the post. So with all of that, I have a few markers on my screen. Okay, this, and then I go. So it's a one-shot take essentially, but there's a process before that brings the message deeper every single
I got
time.
it. So it kind of layers through the week, and then out of that becomes your 2 3 minute Freedom Friday.
Exactly.
And apart from your own self validation, have you had any other comments to say, hey, by the way, I love Freedom Friday, that's lifted you up and given you more purpose to continue?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because sometimes you don't get that. You think, oh, is anyone actually watching? So I want to actually speak to that, because yes, people are watching, but they don't always say, because I've had quite a few comments like, oh yeah, I love your Freedom Fridays. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't see, it doesn't look like you're consuming it. No likes, no comments, no, so you never know. You really never know. And I've had people reach out because of this, where I ask them, oh, why did you reach out? Yeah, I like how you show up with Freedom Friday. I was like, oh, that's cool, that's helpful. So don't give up, I guess, is probably the message here that I want to say, because I've had moments of doubt, like, oh, why am I doing this? Because there's no traction, there's maybe doesn't look like anyone's getting something from it, but you don't know because there's a lot of lurkers. There's a lot of lurkers.
I think you make such a valid point, and it's not about the quantity, but we're so hoodwinked into thinking it's all about volume, it's all about clicks, it's all about likes, and like your workshops.
Mm,
If only one person turned up, but they bought your high ticket value offer, well, what's the bad outcome about that? But most people would say you need to have 10 or 20 or 30, and they've got it's all in the funnel, and you've got to have 7 to 16 impressions before somebody's going to jump into your world. But actually, I think you're giving the clue there is it's about the consistency and the system that shows to your
mm,
clients that you can be relied upon to be
mm.
the guide, the supporter, the encourager, and you're doing the work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, consistency is honestly, to me, one of the most important things. Whether you're creating a business, building a relationship, building a life, it's the small daily actions. So if you can't do it in the small moments, trust me, you're not going to be able to do it in the big moments, right? It's like a muscle. It's a muscle that you're training. So it's super, super important. Consistency, I think, is one of the most important things for creation.
How do you, going back to your coaching of your founder entrepreneurs, that type of person for me is a hard-working individual, and they graft and they go through all kinds of rejection. Where are you on work-life balance and trying to be
Mm,
the sort of little self-conscious tick to say, actually, I think you're doing too much here? Where do you
mm,
sit on looking after your clients in a comparing, compassionate way as well?
yeah. So that's actually one of the big topics that always comes back. So I mean, it's the uncaged existence, right? What happens is very often, at least what I see with entrepreneurs, especially people that have already taken the leap, they work hard. They wanted to be an entrepreneur because they wanted more freedom in time and in finance. And at the end of the day, they're working longer hours and they're basically a slave of a different corporation. It's just the one of their own making.
Mm.
So, so this balance is a really big topic that comes back. That's why I think very, very important. What I do with almost every client is I get clear on their vision. And it's not just a business vision, right? It's, hey, financials, yes, but what kind of relationships do you want? What kind of possessions? How do you want to engage in your community? What about your health? Right? Because we're not just one business entity, we are a whole person. And that is super important because that allows them to kind of come into it that the business needs to work for you. It needs to support how you want to create a life, essentially. So that's super important. And that once we have that stake in the ground, it really allows me as well to kind of be very pointed because essentially, like, is this what you're doing? Is this bringing you closer to your vision? Yes or no?
And if you
It's
had
a
a
simple
client that you
question.
felt was not in keeping with your own values, would you
Hmm.
sack them off at any point if they didn't hear that calling of you to say, actually, Chris, I don't think you're actually in keeping with the way that I want to coach a client? Would you say,
Hmm.
I think it's
Hmm.
time to cut the relationship?
Yeah. Luckily, I haven't had that so far. Um, I would say that what's really important in my process, I slow it down before we start. So there's quite a few touch points, right? It's for them to understand, like, who the hell is Nils? Like, do I actually like all of these crazy games that he creates or not? But I'm also testing them. I'm assessing them as well. It's like, do I like them? Is what they want to create inspiring? Are they showing up? And so before we even get to work together, I get a good feel for that. I have called people out though when they're not doing the work. So I'm like,
Such
well,
as,
yeah, well, I'm saying, look, you say that you want to do this, but I'm not seeing anything. What's the crack? What's the deal?
awkward.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always from love, right? So I'm doing that because I'm not here to please people. and I have pleased people in the past, but I'm here to serve the person. It's like, if you tell me that you want to create this, okay, let's create this. But if I see discongruency between, you know, the vision and the actions, if you're not doing the ones that are required, then I'll call it out. Otherwise, why would they hire me?
Well, if you want a consistent accountability partner to be your coach, then I'll put Niels's details in the notes. What is your website, or the way to find you, Niels? The best way?
Yes, so theuncagedexistence.com, and otherwise you connect on me on LinkedIn. That is the platform I am most active on, and we can just have a nice chat.
You talked about vision for other people. What's your North Star? You're kind of 3 years into your coaching journey now, and obviously making that freedom jump to create your own environment. And with that, you've toured 46 countries and other things as part of coaching in a van. You're not coaching in a van at the moment, but I know you have. Where can we see your next leaps going?
Yes. So the anchor of my vision is my two core values. So that's freedom and love. You might have kind of gathered that from my business and how I operate. So there's a few things. I'm actually reviewing my vision, because my vision is 3 to 5 years, and I'm coming up to the end of 3 years. But that's going to be always my anchor. So probably if I would summarize it now in terms of where I'm leaning towards, is moving to a different country, first of all, for sure. I don't think I will be in London for very much longer, probably moving to Spain. Incorporate nature way more in my life. So I have incorporated now more in my business. So play and explore days, where I go on hikes, and then we go to co-working, and we have a full day face to face. But it's so nourishing. So it's like these elements that I want to increase, essentially. That's
Good.
it.
And where does revenue fall as a part of that? Are you happy with this baseline of what you've achieved, or do you have a calling from your financial analyst
Mm.
past to say, I want to break through this glass ceiling and that glass ceiling?
Yes. That's a good question. So yes, 100%. Like I said, I think the business needs to work for you. So there are elements where, I definitely want to pass a six-figure mark. That's the point. And over time, I need to figure it out, but I would like to go to 500,000 through various ways. So not necessarily only coaching, but that is an inspiration for me to do. Because part of my vision, and this is actually something that I'll continue to do, my vision board is there, the one over 3 years actually, so I'm looking at it. But part of it is I give to charity, to cancer research, 5% of my revenue. And I've been doing that from the beginning. So even when I was kind of making 5K essentially, I was like still giving 5%. And that's one of the drivers as well for me for the money. Because the more I make, the more I can give to research, cancer research, right? Which is close to my heart.
Well, I mean, it would be wrong of me not to ask about that, because people will say, well, why? Are you happy to share why that calling is so strong for you?
Yeah, so I lost my mum to cancer when I was 18. So it's really close to my heart. And actually, I've a lot of her friends, interesting enough, consequently have passed as well. And so also friends of the family. So it is something that, if I can contribute to it in some way, and this is the way that I can contribute now, I mean, it's an extra driver. It really is, because, even in my work, and I had it in the past, still sometimes comes up, and I see it with other entrepreneurs. It's like, oh, I don't want to be too salesy when I make the offer and all that stories. I don't really have that anymore. It comes back sometimes, but I don't really have that, because one, I do genuinely believe that I'm giving people a choice out of love, because I feel I can help them. But two, is like every penny I make goes to, I'm just again pointing to my vision board, but goes to cancer research. And that makes me freaking happy, really happy. Because yeah, it's awesome. Because if I can if that saves someone, like, how cool is that?
I was in a mastermind just a week last Friday, and one of the people on the table. She lost her mother to Alzheimer's, and she had a vision of what she was wanting to do, and we kind of challenged her. And we had that same model. For every pound that she makes, could she invest something back into? And just like you said, that spark. Suddenly, you saw her lights just go on and go, "Oh my goodness!" So the more I do, the more I make, the more I invest back in the. And she was like, "Oh," and it was that beautiful moment of connection that you get in a mastermind or a coaching situation where you just see that, the cage just opened up, and she was like, "Yes, give me some of that."
That's fucking awesome. I swear I said I was not going to swear, but that's
No,
just
it's okay.
awesome.
It shouldn't. Yes. Now, I think there's a niche for you for founder entrepreneurs who love chihuahuas, high net worth, who want to take their chihuahua across Virgin Atlantic upper class. I think that's, the riches are in the niches. So there we go. That's your.
Well, Chris, if you know any Chihuahua owners that, want to bring their Chihuahua all over the world and have a very bespoke life, send them my way.
I obviously gather that freedom and love are two of your calling cards. What would be your sort of three fundamentals to give somebody listening to have an uncaged life forever, Nils?
One, get clear first on what you really want, right? Not what you think you should want, right? Because a lot of people fall in that trap. Been there, done that, right? Create something that lights you up. I call it a vision anchored in return on life instead of return on investments. I think that's super, super important. Number two is do the inner work. Honestly, it's probably the work you do on yourself, and in between the four kind of walls of your home, your beliefs, your operating system. That is the work. If you can do that, and you can keep on kind of looking at where there's dissonance, looking at where you're being triggered, you can create. I genuinely believe that you can create whatever you want, whatever you want. And third fundamental, look, break it down. Like honestly, it's like a classic. Oh well, I'll say I'll maybe add some bonuses. But anyway, create a plan. Like honestly, create a plan because a vision can sometimes be quite daunting. It's like, oh, how am I going to get there? That's pretty big. So just break it down and create again something that works for you. And maybe look at cheeky 4 and 5 is be yourself. Honestly, be yourself because that attracts. You will attract your vibe. Like I've created clients through hikes, and that's my happy place outside. And surround yourself with good people. It's not always easy, and if people are not aligned with you, maybe old friends, you know, it's a shame and it's sad, but don't let that hold you back, right? Because you will know inside what you want. And it's very specific and it will be very personal. That's it.
I love those five: clarity, doing the work, creating a plan, being yourself. You seem to be quite a deep thinker, Nils. How do you get inspiration, and then how do you capture that? I know you talked about journaling there. We're going to wrap up in a minute, but I'm just curious as to how you get to be happy with your own inner voice and finding a
Mm,
space to listen to it, and then also speaking to it.
yeah. So yeah, I have a very consistent journaling practice. So I journal every day. I meditate every day. Well, every day, full honesty, probably 6 out of 7. On the weekend, sometimes I waver, but that is really it's really useful for me. And I review the full week as well because it gives me inspiration for Freedom Friday, but it also allows me to kind of see, okay, are there any trends? Is there something that I need to kind of look into? And then I have my own coach. Like very simple. I have someone who I see weekly, and it gives me space to go even deeper. So at that, and probably just creating the space. We talk about freedom. I make sure that I have the space to just be. Because if you're always on the go, and you could probably see that with COVID, how a lot of people finally had time to think, and a lot of people switched right to doing something different. Well, yeah, but that space is available now, even if it's only 5 minutes. You can take 5 minutes in your day. Trust me.
There's a good old phrase that I think that says success leaves clues. And what I'm taking away from this conversation is that you kind of climbed the first mountain, which was the one where you went from school, university, financial career, analyst. And then at some stage you kind of thought, I
Mm,
might want to jump off this one. But even now, you can see that it's consistency, systems, deep
mm,
thinking, and then application of the knowledge to what you're doing, but also
mm,
bringing in third party perspectives to challenge
mm.
your own thoughts and mindset on success. So, anybody that's listening, there's success in the clues here that Nils has just shared with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for creating the space. It was awesome, and what a lovely summary. Honestly, systems and action, and systems. Like maybe just on that, Chris, because for me, systems is also the internal system, right? It's how you think, how you speak, the words you use. It's all of that. So yeah, thank you so much. This was a blast.
I've really enjoyed it, Nils, and I think somewhere up there are two mums looking down at us both, just going, "Oh, isn't that a nice little conversation they just had there?" Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the
Sure.
day, and thank you for speaking and serving today, Nils.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Very good, excellent. Let me just
Awesome.
stop